Welcome to episode 231, When Your VA Team Falls Apart and How to Handle It Like a Pro.
Yes, because as a VA agency owner, your team at some point will fall apart. This is not breaking news. This is something that we've spoken about very often over the past few years. But we're still seeing a lot of VA agency owners really getting rattled when the shit hits the fan with their team members. So, this episode is to not only let you know as an agency owner or an aspiring agency owner that these situations we're going to talk about are very normal. You're not the only one experiencing it. But we're also going to give you some tips and tricks around building your resilience as an agency owner. So, when it does happen, you aren't going to get rattled. You aren't going to spiral. You aren't going to be questioning everything. You're not going to be wanting to throw your toys out of the playpen, so to speak.
This is like bringing back memories of like early days in my VA agency journey. I would like, especially when a team member resigns, I used to cry and take it so personally that they were leaving because they didn't like me or it was something to do with me, when actually it was often not really anything to do with me. They just found a different opportunity or something changed in their life. So we feel you if you're an agency owner and you have a team and you often get rattled because that's very
Mm,
normal in the beginning. And I think the resilience word that you mentioned, Sam, is a
mm.
really like key word that we're going to talk about in here, because you do need to build your resilience as you go through this agency owner journey. And I feel like I have a lot of resilience now, which like takes me through these, the roller coaster, the ups and
Yeah.
downs of all of these things that you go through as an agency owner.
I
Um,
feel like you're like Teflon at this point, like, you're strong, but you don't let it stick, right?
yeah, 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 yeah.
And I think that probably helps that you've been doing it for so long that I'm gonna assume you've probably experienced just about any situation as a team leader that could, like, in terms of running a VA agency. There
I'm
wouldn't
gonna
be much that you haven't experienced, I don't think.
I'm gonna tell you a story that you probably have never heard that will just like be unbelievable.
Okay, hit me.
You want to say it now?
Yeah.
Things that I thought would never happen, but have built my resilience so much and have like really made me step up as a leader. So it's a long time ago now, so I'm pretty sure I can talk about this. Been doing this
Mm,
for 13 years this year, Sam.
yeah.
13 years. Crazy. Okay, back fairly early days, I think like, I don't know, 2016, something like that. I had this team member and she was showing quite a few red flags now looking in hindsight in the
Mm.
interview. She was just like really enthusiastic and she had this like portfolio of shelf flipping through and she was just quite chaotic. But she came with really high level experience and I was like, oh, this would be so good in the business. So hired her, found out that she was sleeping in her car. She'd split up with her partner or something, sleeping in her car, showering at the swimming pools each
Oh,
morning,
no.
coming to work. She then must have got a house like within a week or something, but there was this like period where she was essentially homeless. She came into she'd needed to go out and meet up with someone or something to do with getting this house or whatever. And so I was like, cool, go sort that out and then, come back in the afternoon or whatever. And we're having a management team meeting and she was part of the management team. So she came back to work and in the management meeting we were talking about one of the team members that like wasn't performing very well and was just like there was just some struggles there, which you do in a management team meeting, right? She came in and she was just like, "Oh my god, I can't believe that you are talking about this person. This is so horrible that you're talking behind their back and they don't know that you're saying this stuff." And She just went off, and then I was like, I think she might be really intoxicated. She was showing intoxicated signs, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is not okay." Started, like, ranting and raving, and when I realized that she was drunk, I took her out into the office. She was still on her 90-day trial period, and I was like, "No, this is like, you cannot come to work like that and act like that. I need to get rid of this person now. 90-day
Wow.
trial period, you can just let someone go without any reason." So
Mm.
she came back into the, like, open plan office area, took her in there and into her office, and I was just like, "Shit, everyone is watching me right now. I have to really, like, handle this immediately," 'cause she was being, like, such a disruption and everyone was just staring. So I closed the door and I was like, "Look, this isn't working out. I'm gonna let you go under your 90-day trial period. Like, we need to pack up your things and I'll get you to leave now." And then I was like, "Can you give me your work cell phone?" And she refused to give me her cell phone, and I was like, "Oh, this is a red flag. No, you have to give this to me. It's like strictly savvy property." And so she reluctantly gave it to me. She gathered up all of her stuff, and I think there was like even a bottle of wine that she had to get out of her bottom drawer and like take that. And she left, and I then went through her phone, and all the messages that were in there on her work phone were complaining about, like, how, Joe and Lance have gone off to, like, some kind of strategy weekend thing, and I bet that they're just gonna come back with, like, all this stupid stuff that we're gonna have to then implement, and, like, just raving and ranting about me, and then just she had personal messages on there on her work phone, which is why she didn't want me to obviously see it, and just all this stuff was happening with things and personal
Wow.
other relationships and just this bizarre stuff, and a lot of talk about me and the work, and
Wow.
it was I actually just, like, afterwards, I was like, "I can't believe that all of that just happened."
Wow.
Have you heard that
Wow.
story before? Have I told you?
No, I
Yeah.
haven't. I'm still processing. There is so much to unpack there. Oh, it almost needs like its own episode. Wow. I mean, well handled.
Yeah, it
Well
was
handled.
I just knew that, like, okay, all eyes are on me, like, I have to deal with this now. She can't be in this organization anymore, like, this is not
Mm.
a fit, not a match.
Yeah, and we do see, I don't wanna get too far off track, but we do see a lot of VA agency owners who may not experience that situation, because I feel like that really is
It is
at,
extreme.
like, next level in terms of potential issues that can arise when you're managing a team. However, we do see so many VA agency owners not taking action quick enough.
Yes.
And this can be for a wide variety of reasons. It could be because they care too much. Like, you can care as a human being to human being, but you can't let that negatively affect your business's bottom line, as
Mhm.
well as your other team members and your
Mm.
clients as well, right? Like, there's this line. Yeah, you can do both. You can be a kind and caring human being and give someone the support they need without it letting affect your business, your mental health, your client's potential work, the rest of your team that you're trying to keep happy in a safe
Mhm.
environment.
Yeah, thank you. Safe environment, yes, is key. Like, it can't affect the rest of your
No,
business. Yeah,
no.
yeah,
Do you
yeah.
feel like that's why so many agency owners maybe do allow situations to go on longer than they should? Like, they don't take quicker action?
I think a few things come into not taking action soon enough, and one of them is probably that, like, avoiding conflict is a common
Mm,
thing, like, not wanting to cause conflict or have a confrontation or the other person react badly, so trying to avoid those kind of situations. I think the fear of getting it wrong or saying the wrong thing or
mm,
doing the wrong thing, I think comes into
mm.
it as well.
worried about what clients are going to think, like thinking, oh God, well, I'm going to have to go through another recruitment process again. And I've just done 3. Oh,
Exactly that. Yes. If that person does have to go, then that then is going to have a snowball effect in terms of a whole bunch of work that you're going to need to do. Yeah. And especially if you don't have the systems in place and like, the processes and everything set up to be able to deal with
yeah.
that in a like timely manner, that can feel like
Mm,
a lot of work
mm,
that's about to come. Yeah. But
yeah.
we are getting off track. So let's come back to our topic. We want you to be able to handle managing, running,
Mhm,
leading a team really, really well. Because we do see a lot of agency owners, and we have a lot of agency owners in the mastermind, which, all of them have gone through issues at times that they've needed support with. And a lot of agency owners are getting really rattled when team members leave, they resign. Team
mhm,
members are not meeting those expectations, or like they've hired someone and they've just started ghosting them. I think
mm,
those are really common scenarios. They are going to come up for every agency owner. And it's about
yeah.
how do we actually build resilience to be able to handle those things.
Yeah, like we see so many of them riding the highest of highs, right? Because when everything is humming along and
Mhm.
going well, God, life does not get better than that. Business life does not get better than that. You feel like you are just killing it in all the ways. But then as soon as something happens, goes
Mm.
slightly off the rails, your expectations of somebody that you've brought into your business are falling flat, basically, then boom, that
Mm.
roller coaster drop. You're down in the pits of hell at this point, it can feel like for some of them, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, and let's a bit of a checklist. Like, you are not alone if you have cried when a team member resigned. You've considered going back to solo work, so just, getting rid of your team members, becoming a freelancer again. You've wondered if it's even worth it, and oh my god, how many times have I said this? I think it'll just be easier if I go back to a job, go back to a 9 to 5, like
Mhm,
so many times. Been answering messages in bed, doing things late at night, and that like second guessing or that like feeling like an imposter in terms of being a
mm.
leader or, second guessing your leadership skills. Those are really, really common. So if you're feeling those as an agency owner, like you are not alone and it is very normal. We all go through those considerations or issues or stages or problems.
Yeah, we were talking with somebody, I think it was last week, Joe, and we talked about the fact that you don't as a business owner, especially an agency owner, you don't just reach this level of, "Oh, I've done it.
Yes, I've made it.
Ta-da! I've made it.
I've
Yep,
arrived at the
I've
destination.
I've arrived at the destination of a successful agency owner, and everything is gonna be smooth sailing from here on
Mm,
out." Let's get really comfortable with the fact that that is not realistic.
no, it's like growing an agency. It doesn't like remove all the problems. It just shifts the problems from like the type of problems that you deal with.
Mm,
Previously, maybe as a freelancer, the problems are like fully booked, capacity, getting burnt out, like not enough time to do everything, like you doing things that you don't like doing. Those problems can be removed, but you bring a whole bunch of different type of problems when you're an agency owner. Now you're thinking about the capacity of the team members and looking after clients and making sure the clients are happy and making sure that team members are meeting expectations, that they're tracking their time. So it's like the problems are
mm,
just different. They're not removed. And that's why I think we also teach like not everyone's cut out to be an agency owner, and you don't have to be an agency owner to make more money or grow or evolve. Like
mhm.
freelancer is a long-term pathway as well if that's what you want to choose. It's like
Yeah, it's
choose the hard, right? Choose the problems. Which problems would you like?
I love that, Joe. Choose the
Mhm.
hard, right? Neither
Yeah.
pathway is easy. They're just
Mm.
gonna have different types of hard. It's like as a parent, there is no age range that is easier than another. They
No.
just are different problems as they get
Yes.
older. It
Yes.
doesn't get easier. You're just dealing with different sets of problems.
Yes.
Same with a freelancer versus
Mhm.
agency. I think this is a good time to also bring up, this is why we are very wary of accidentally falling into being an agency or an agency
Mm.
owner, right? Because those problems that you just talked about as a freelancer, if you haven't got these things sorted as a freelancer, they are just going to be amplified as you are trying to stumble while trying to scale, right? Like, so
Mm.
it's a teeny tiny problem that, as a freelancer, becomes a massive barrier to success as an agency owner.
Love it. Yes. And that's why we created the pre-scale checklist too, which we're going to
Mm,
drop into the description, because there are some things to get in place first before deciding and making that shift to agency owner. And the more that you intentionally become an agency owner, the more I think you are setting yourself up for that success too.
okay, so I think now anyone listening, Joe, now realizes that there is no such thing as a set and forget
Mm.
kind of team.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what's going on. What's going on in an agency owner's life or mind or business that is potentially causing or creating this triggery spiral meltdown space that they get themselves into when something doesn't go to plan.
Yeah. I feel like agency owners who think that they can still do a whole bunch of client work and just tack on this team and have the team doing client work as well, plus an agency owner then being all the other things that they need to be in their life, the mum, wife, running a household, etc., all that stuff. When you're trying to do it all and you're just adding on having the team in your business, it's not going to work. You actually need to make some shifts as an
Mhm.
agency owner about what you're spending your time on and how much
Mhm.
client work you're doing. Otherwise, you're just not going to have enough headspace to be able to actually cope with all of that. You can't keep adding on. You have to shift what you will be doing as an agency owner.
This is big for women in general, right? We're the nurturers. In most households, not all, but in most households, we do take on the the burden. I don't know. That's a pretty strong word. The burden of running the household, the responsibility of regulating everybody's emotions in the household. For some of us,
Mhm.
like we're taking on the majority of the mum jobs, the kind of the house woman jobs. Is that a word? House woman jobs? I don't even know.
Are you trying to
I'm
be very PC right
I'm
now?
trying to be very PC and it's not working. This is what happens when I'm trying to be somebody I'm not. I'm trying to be careful with my words because I don't want to offend anybody.
Hmm.
And this was me, right? I feel as though I can probably say stuff because I've lived this. But I
Yeah.
equally don't really want to trigger somebody. I don't want somebody that's found themselves with all of these burdens and responsibilities going, "Oh, fuck, how did I get here?" And then me being really flippant about it because
Mm.
I've realized that that doesn't help the situation whatsoever. You don't need us to be flippant about the the life that you've built, whether that's intentionally or not, right?
Mm.
But the
Yeah.
moral of my story, my
Yeah.
PC slash un-PC story, is that it's very easy for us as women to feel as though we do have to do it all, right? Just
Mm.
because we've got the options to do whatever it is we want to do doesn't mean we can and should be doing everything. Something's got to give.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we break.
Yeah, because even the smallest little thing that happens can feel catastrophic when you do not have enough headspace and you have chosen to do it all.
Yeah.
And we don't want you to be in that space because as an agency owner, you're gonna have to have some a lot of
Mhm.
resilience to be
Mhm.
able to deal with the issues and problems that come along so that you're not catastrophizing those things and then being like, oh my God, I can't, like, I need this to all stop. I'm going to go back to freelancer.
Yeah.
Yep. We want you to really think about setting yourself up to lead your agency and run it as a CEO in your agency so that you can actually have the resilience and the ability to cope with the things when they come up.
Well, we want all agency owners to be more than just coping. I feel like coping is like bare minimum.
Mm.
Feel like if you are just coping, are you really showing up as the leader that your team members deserve, need,
Yeah.
require in order to thrive?
Yeah. Because you if you appear to not be able to be handling things and things are throwing you off and you are like
Mm.
reacting badly to things, that's really unsettling for the team.
Yeah.
They need you to be solid. Like I have built the ability to be cool, calm, and collected in any situation and not have
Mm.
outbursts and big reactions because I know that my team are going to feel very unsettled if I appear anything but
Yes.
settled.
Yes. I'm just having a very quick scan of my memory through all of my managers that I've had over the decades that I've been working, right? And the ones that haven't led well, that haven't created that safe place in order for their team to thrive, that haven't created a sense of security, openness where you can feel like you can be yourselves, are the managers that have basically fallen into management role. Oh, this role needs filling. You've been doing the next tier down for 10 years. So, hey, you want it? My goodness, no management skills whatsoever. They may have been doing this job next level down
Mm.
very, very well, right? Following instructions, being proactive, getting shit done. It's very different to them moving into a role where you are responsible for people. You're responsible to a certain degree, for their welfare, for their mental health, for their financial security.
Yeah.
That's a responsibility that we don't want anyone to take lightly. We want you to go
Mm.
in knowing what makes a really good leader.
Yeah. So let's have a chat about like what someone listening needs to expect when they are growing a team, becoming an agency. Because I think that is really important to make sure that you realize that these things are going
Mm.
to come up. Team members are going to leave. They are going to say, I can't work with you anymore. I don't want to work with you anymore. Not in those words, but they've
Mhm.
found another opportunity or it's just not working out for them, whatever it is. That is going to happen.
Yeah, and it may
Yep.
happen sooner than you expect. I think you might be going, "Well, of course it's gonna happen." Like, yeah, I'm gonna recruit somebody, they're gonna put in a great couple of years' work, we're gonna get on like a house on fire, and then they're gonna move on to something new. It's like, dude, unfortunately, it could happen 2 weeks in. 2 weeks
Mm-hmm.
post-recruitment process, your team member could go, "This isn't what I expected."
A subcontractor could actually do it on the first day.
Oh, yes.
Definitely heard about that happening. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so not only are you going to have team members leave, don't expect them to be putting in a decent amount of time before they leave, because 'cause they're not all going to.
Yeah. Like even people who I consider to be really, really great friends will leave at some point and have done in
Mhm.
my business. People who think like, oh, they're going to be here forever. They
Yeah,
won't.
yeah. Even if you have a really great, robust recruitment process, even if there were no red flags being flown at any point during that process, sometimes shit just happens, right?
Mm. Yep. Yep.
Sometimes people are
Unexpected.
really good at masking things.
Yep. The other thing that we want you to expect and know that it is coming when you are growing your team is that mistakes are going to happen. Your team members are going to make mistakes. Clients are going to be unhappy about stuff. Just had one that I can pull out just recently. Yesterday, I was talking to my GM and she was like, "Oh, we've been trying to fix this thing for a client and it's been going on for ages and we've gone back and forwards and we've thought it was fixed and it's not fixed. And like now he's really grumpy. He doesn't want to pay for any more time to fix this thing. And like he wants you to like go to an external person and well, wants us to go to an external person and pay for someone else to do it at our cost, not his." And I was like, actually, okay, we have said that we were able to fix this. We can't. We do know someone. It's going to cost us $550 because I
Mm,
know that it's a long-term client. It's thousands of dollars a month that he pays us. He's shitty, rightly so. We couldn't make it happen. It's gone on too long. And actually, like, this is on us now. So we're
mm.
going to pay for it to be fixed. Like, that could come up.
Totally. Well, it did for you. Once
Yeah.
again, it's another realistic thing that could happen for anybody. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's going to be dramas, right? You're going to have clients that aren't the right fit for certain team members. You're going to have
Mhm.
team members that are butting up against each other for whatever reason. They're not going to be
Mhm.
best friends.
Yeah. Yep. And then I think like realizing too that you as the business owner, one day you're going to feel like a therapist for a team member. Another day, the butting heads team members, you're going to have to be a referee for that or a referee for a client and a team member who are having issues. And you're definitely going to be feeling like you're putting out fires all the time. Like you're going to wear a lot of hats as a leader in the business. And I think this comes back to also what we talked about at the start. You can't just keep doing your same freelancer role just as you were and then
Mm-mm.
add on team members because there are other things that you're going to
Mhm.
need to be and show up for and do that are not client work. So you
Mhm.
need to have the expectation that you cannot do a whole bunch of client work because there are other things that are going to take your time and energy.
So team management and client management can become a full-time job on its own very quickly.
Yeah, once you get like add in more team members, yeah, very quickly for me, that was, yeah, a big
Mhm.
realization. I hung on to client work way too long and I
Mhm.
wasn't available for team members. I became a bottleneck and I held my business back for a couple of years until I actually realized, oh, now it's not about me being the one bringing in money. I need to work on the team members bringing in the money and add team members rather than me doing
Mm.
client work. And that's like a whole mind fuck.
Oh, totally. And it's also one of our most more ignored pieces of advice. Like everyone fights us on this. Everyone. Oh, I think maybe I could name two current VA agency owners who didn't fight us on it that
Mhm.
got it. But everyone else, literally, they are hanging on to client work like their nails are dug in so deep. There is nothing that we can do. They've just got to get there on their own. They've got to get
Mm.
there on their own. They've got to learn from their mistakes. I guess it's the only way.
Yeah.
It's the only thing that gets them to finally let go of that client work.
Yeah. So the things that we want you to think about as you're an agency owner is that you need to have really good systems so that when things happen or team members leave, you've actually got the system there to be able to recruit and replace and onboard someone. Expectations really clear on the expectations you have on your team members and the expectations that you have, knowing that these things are going to come up and agency owner problems are going to be different. And then really working on your mindset. Like you've got to step into being that CEO of your agency and having the mindset that matches that.
All super, super common issues that you are going to experience as an agency owner, but all solvable with those things, Joe.
Yeah. So that's the key things to work on: systems, expectations, and mindset.
Okay, let's go into a bit more detail then. Let's go
Mhm.
into how how you can build resilience into your agency model.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to talk about a topic that a term that we have never talked about before, but I think is just mind blowing. It just makes so much sense. To build that resilience, you need to build in some kind of buffer time, the
Mm,
emotional margin. You might have thought, okay, I know what margin is. It's like, revenue, expenses, what it costs to deliver that service. That's your margin. Great. But emotional margin, this is a concept we really need you to understand. This is the space between the emotional energy that you have and how much emotional energy you need to use. Because if you have, let's talk in numbers, 100% emotional energy, and you need to use 100% emotional energy, you have got zero margin. You
mhm.
have got no buffer in there for when a mistake happens, a team member leaves, a client's not happy, something happens in your business. You have got absolutely no margin left. And that is where you are going to not cope. You're going to spiral. You're going to crash and burn. You're going to go into burnout.
Yeah, this is the buffer zone between coping and crashing.
When you are running your VA agency and you are showing up for your clients, you're managing your team, you're holding the mental load of your entire household, like we talked about before, you're parenting, you have a husband, family members you're looking after, whatever it is, all of those things can have your emotional margin disappearing really, really quickly. Like, how many of us have cried in our business? That is when you have zero emotional margin.
Oh my God, I'm feeling triggered, Joe. Like, wow. Like, does that not seem like listening to you talk about that? It just felt really heavy and tiring, even you describing that situation, because I think so many of us have lived it or are
Mhm.
currently living it,
Yeah,
right? No
yeah.
wonder, yeah, no wonder you get to the point where it's just like, can't do it anymore. Not worth it. I'm just gonna go cry in my bedroom for 10 minutes for the 3rd time today. Don't mind me.
Yeah. You've got no emotional margin left. It is all used up. All
Mm,
of that energy is gone. It's depleted.
yeah. God, you need to work really if this is you and you're going, "Oh, far out. Yes, I'm feeling that to my bones." You need to work intentionally, put things in place, make decisions in order to protect that emotional margin, that buffer zone, because it
Mm.
is so important.
Yeah. And do you know what? We actually have less emotional margin when we are in certain parts of our cycle as well as women. If you are
Mhm,
still having a period, you have a
mhm,
cycle, like this really comes into it. Why are you saying yes to all of these things and overloading yourself in
yeah,
the time just before you get your period? You're not going to have the emotional energy at 100. You might be at 50. So if you are then adding in all of
mhm,
these things and the emotional energy of all the things you need to do and all the things that you're taking care of is now past 50, maybe it's up at 80, you've depleted, you've got no margin. It's negative 30. Like that is when the
mhm,
tears happen, that the snappiness, the like not coping, the wanting to throw it
mhm.
all in. So keep that in mind. Where are you at in your cycle? And what are you putting on your plate during those times in your cycle? I think is a little side note, which we are going to do a separate episode on how you actually look at your cycle.
Oh, we've only been talking about that for a year. One day we'll get to it.
I promise. I promise.
Okay, besides being aware of your hormones and your
Mhm.
cycle and all these wonderful things that as women we have to get our heads around, there are other things that are gonna help, right? Like setting boundaries, business boundaries and personal boundaries. Like we cannot, especially if you are, like Joe said, you're running a business, you're looking after other people, whether it's little people or elderly people, you might have a partner, you're running the household. There is no, I don't feel like you can separate business and life. Like it's not just about business boundaries, it's also about your personal boundaries that you need to set and then work really, really hard at holding those boundaries. Because the
Mhm.
setting, that's the easy bit. Anyone can write down a fucking list of 10 boundaries that's going to help you live better, right?
Yeah.
It's actually holding them. That is where the hard work
Mhm.
is needed.
Yeah. Something else to protect your emotional margin, saying no to wrong fit clients. Just don't bring on clients that are like maybe outside of your niche, that have red flags, that is just completely the wrong fit, is not the type of work that one of your team members has skills for. Like, just say no. It's
Just
not worth
say
it.
no. No, it's not worth it, right? And we're not talking about saying yes to clients that maybe aren't 100% your ideal client.
Mm.
That's different, right?
Yeah.
But we're saying don't say yes to a wrong fit client where you are ignoring all those signs and your gut. You're often
Mhm.
doing it because desperation, like you've lost a
Yeah.
client, you're a bit worried about cash flow, you just want to fill that space again.
Yeah.
It never ends well.
Another thing to do to protect that emotional margin is to not overfill your calendar. Just because you have availability at a certain time doesn't mean that you have to say, yes, I'm available and I can do a meeting at that time.
Even if it's a lead that you really wanna work with.
You have to have time margin in your calendar. You have to have space, spaciousness in your calendar. Do not book yourself back to back to back to back just because it's available.
Mm,
Protect that space in your calendar and get intentional about where you are going to when you're going to have meetings, what are you saying yes to, what goes into your calendar. Like, you can control your calendar. You're in charge of it.
please repeat that for those in the back.
You are in control of your calendar.
Surprise. Right. What about getting support? What about
Yeah.
the agency owners or the aspiring agency owners, the newly started out ones that are just struggling in silence? It's not a no one is gonna give you a badge of honor for reaching this destination of success without getting any help from anyone
Mm.
whatsoever.
Yeah. I mean, this could look, there's a lot of places that you can get support from. This is like asking for help at home.
Yep.
This is maybe outsourcing things at home or in your business.
Mhm.
Like maybe getting a team member that actually does all of your admin and accounts is like a first step to getting some help.
Yes.
This could be actually finding a place where you can surround yourself with other women business owners who can give you support. You know, that's
Yeah.
why we have the mastermind.
Mhm.
Agency owners are in there and come with their problems and we can talk through them.
Yeah.
There are lots of areas of your business and life that you can get support. Like, you do not have to do this alone. You just don't.
No. No. There is no successful entrepreneurial business owner, like a super successful, like if you look at them and going, "Wow, how did they do that?" Tell you what, they didn't do it by themselves.
That like the mentioned this before, like the self-made millionaire, self-made man, you know, like that is a fallacy. That's not true. They did not do that on their own, which is kind of what that term implies, right?
Exactly. At the very least, they've got a partner behind them that is making sure everything is going smoothly, that they don't have to think about, at least
Yeah.
in their home life, right? That's what I mean. When we say support, we're not necessarily going to, you need a mentor, you need a coach. It's like support of all of the people around you. And that
Mhm.
can look very, very different.
Yeah. Okay, so having that emotional margin is going to absolutely help you to be able to lead from a place that has calm and clarity and confidence. so that even when the shit hits the fan, something happens, you've got the emotional margin, that resilience to be able to deal with it. That's what it is about.
Yeah. It is at the top of our list because it is the biggest thing that's going to make a difference to you as an agency owner. Build in that buffer time, people. Okay. The next thing on our list is not very sexy. Can anyone guess what I don't think is sexy and exciting and fun in business? Is creating those internal SOPs and having clear expectations for the team members as well that are going to be using them.
Yeah, and I actually have an expectations for global team member, expectations for, we call them client managers, the VAs. And there is a 2-page PDF list of all of the expectations that is provided to any team member that comes into my business. Like, here's what's expected of you in black and white, bullet pointed, super like easy to reference.
Now, some might be listening to that, Joe, and going, "Ooh, that seems a bit extreme, doesn't it?" Oh my God. What are the benefits of you having those lists of expectations, Joe?
Well, can you imagine coming into a workplace and being like, here's what's expected of you? Oh, amazing. The clarity that gives me that I know if I'm doing a good job or not.
Yep.
And then it gives you the ability as a leader to be like, hey, these expectations aren't being met. What can we do to support you to like make sure that you are meeting these expectations?
Boom.
The conversations are so much easier.
Yeah. Can you give like a couple of examples of expectations that are on your list?
Yeah, one of them is that they must track their time in harvest live. Another one is that every Friday they need to provide a client update in our teamwork chat channel. Just like, what are the things that you need to do?
That is genius because you know what? You may think that, well, they are obvious things, right? That's basic things that all team members should be doing anyway. There's that should word, right? They should be doing it. So why aren't they? But my goodness, the amount of agency owners that we've spoken to that have actually at some point while growing a team, while scaling their business, have really struggled to get a certain team member with doing those basics.
Yeah, if it's in black and white, easy to reference. And I think too, like when a team member comes on in their induction, they're bombarded with lots of information. It's actually hard for them, second nature for you, but hard for them to remember what are the actual things I need to be doing, like regularly and focused on.
Yeah, and if the time tracking one, for instance, if they're not used to time tracking, like, let's be honest, like it's a pain to get used to it, right? To getting into that system of doing it without thinking about it.
Yeah.
So it is a pain when you're not used to it and you're first using it. They won't understand the importance of why they have to do it. Yeah, having it black and white right in front of them. Boom. Love that.
I feel like you're so excited to like grow a team. You want to become an agency owner?
I'm so not, like, already. I don't think after how many years I've been in this business, I don't think you will ever change my mind on me being an agency owner. It is definitely not the right pathway for me. And this list just reinforces that because there is nothing here that feels light. It all feels really heavy to me.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, this may be a sign of if for any aspiring agency owners listening, if all of these things that we're talking about feel really, really heavy and you don't feel as though that you are in the right headspace or you have the right mindset or that you don't have that resilience, you don't have time to put in that resilience, maybe it's just not for you and that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, next up on our list, some more really exciting things that I want nothing to do with would be like being prepared with an exit plan for when team members do leave, as well as the onboarding, like once again, that robust process. So you're not reinventing the wheel every single time, whether they're incoming or outgoing.
Yeah. Like in my business, it's so easy to onboard and get someone up to speed and also to replace someone. Like, we have the process, we've got the templates, like everything just gets rolled out. It's a dream. It's easy. Like, it doesn't have
Yeah.
to be hard. Yeah, and
So
this
does
goes
that
for clients as well, not just team
so
members, but clients.
does that mean then every time you are, I know it goes, you just said it goes with clients as well, but if we're sticking with the team member thing, every time you do have to then go through an unexpected recruitment process, you aren't spiraling. You aren't going, "Oh my god, I don't have time for this."
No, well, I mean, it helps that I have team members in there who are only internal. They're not doing client work, right? And this
Mhm.
is the mindset of like you not having all the client work because otherwise you don't have time to deal with things that come up out of the blue that need to be dealt with. So it makes it quick and easy.
Yeah. Let's talk about inductions, Joe.
I think that this is potentially the most underrated part of what's actually going to make the biggest difference in terms of how easy bringing on team members is going to be. Like, this is, I don't hear many people talk about documenting an induction process. In my business, we have essentially what we've created is an online course where a new team member, when they come in, they go in and they get all of the information and watch all the training videos to get them up to speed with how to become a virtual assistant in my business. Like, it doesn't take hours and hours of a team member sitting, like, training and repeating the same thing over and over. And yes, we still have that time with a real person, like chickens and, welcoming them aboard, but like the actual training and like, here's the information you need to know. It's all
Mm.
documented. It saves so much time.
How
And you
how
know what
much
else?
time? How much time does it save? Like
Oh,
hours per team member?
yeah, so
Days?
I think it's a contractor is 2 hours induction, and then I would say that it's more like 4 to 5 hours saved for a new team member coming on
Mm.
as an
Mm.
employee.
That's gonna
'Cause
add up.
there's still time where they do like shadow and, have
Mm.
that personal Zoom time, but in terms of the training of all the tools and systems and expectations, yeah, yeah, hours and hours.
There might be somebody listening to this going, "Induction process? I hadn't even considered that." Like, dude, these are
Mm,
important. And, go back to when you started at a new job, right? A new environment. First impressions matter as the business owner, welcoming somebody into this safe, secure place, environment that you're providing them.
yeah. I mean, an example just came up recently with someone in the mastermind where they had onboarded a new team member and it just didn't feel like it was working out. And so we questioned and asked a few things to delve a bit deeper. And one of the things that she had done was she had not set them up in, I think it was the time tracking tool with
Mm.
a paid account. And she was using kind of an alternative free option just in the meantime while there was this transition. And we actually said to her, do you know that
Mm.
that actually gives a impression to the new team member coming on that they're not valued and they're not worth having their own proper account and starting as they mean to go on, and like that you actually can't afford as the agency owner to have that account set up. So like, oh,
Mm.
is this going to be viable for me? Like, is this secure and safe? So not feeling secure, not feeling valued, and just like a bit uneasy can
Mm.
be the impression that you may not realize that you're actually giving to your new team member. So that
Yeah.
induction and what you've got set up and ready for them and how prepared you are and like how smooth this onboarding process is really matters.
It is just as important as how you induct or welcome, have a
Mhm,
handover process with your client. This
mhm.
induction process with a team member is equally as important, and you should be spending just as much energy going into creating this process and how it makes
Mm.
them feel.
It's like it sets the tone for the entire relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, like,
Mm.
you may have heard us talk about how clients, especially those that are new to outsourcing, can experience buyer's remorse. They sign the
Mm.
contract and then all these feelings come up, right? Buyer's remorse. And so it's up to you to then make them feel secure and welcome and excited about starting work with you during that handover process from that point on. It's exactly the same with team members, right? They could be going, "Oh my goodness," they're excited. Then they sign the contract, and then they're like, "Oh shit, I'm really, really nervous about this." The induction process is your opportunity to really make them feel welcome.
Absolutely is. Okay.
Handbooks, Joe.
Oh, another underrated element of an agency owner business
Why
handbook.
are they important? Once
Mm.
again, like I witnessed a really interesting conversation in one of the Facebook groups around client handbooks. And there was some very, very differing opinions in here. There was the virtual assistants. I've got to say, most of them have been through either Launch in 30 Days or the Scale Up Mastermind, and they've listened to previous podcast episodes. And they were like, yeah, client handbooks, they're great. I have them. This is the benefits of them. This is what they include. And then there was this other group of virtual assistants that were very anti client handbooks. It's like, well, no, why would you do that? Like, you're potentially, they could just take that client handbook and they could go and give it to somebody else to do your job for you.
Yeah, they could. Okay.
Interesting, though, eh?
Yeah. Client handbooks. Okay. It doesn't really matter how or where they are documented as long as they are somewhere. So it could be an online tool. I use Google Sites. It could be a Google Doc. It could be OneNote, whatever kind of system you want. And this is the place where you document all the information that a client has provided you and how to do all of the things, the tasks, the work for that client. So it's a lot of processes and it's a lot of specific details and information about a business. The reason why I love this, and we've had this from the very beginning, is because if a team member leaves, it is so much easier to have someone else step in and take over because
Mhm.
everything is there that they need to know to look after that client. If a team member goes on leave, unexpectedly gets sick, someone else can just step in and run the client. It also means that the client doesn't feel like they have to repeat themselves, like, "Oh, I thought I gave you that information. Well, what did you do with
Mm.
that information to save it? Like, where is it? Is it all over the place?" And we're not talking about passwords and logins and stuff in the client handbook. That goes in your password vault. But this is the how to do the work. Who's the client's wife's name? What's their kids' names? How old are their kids? When's the client's birthday? What's their physical address for couriers? Like, all that stuff, all that information is all somewhere along with the how do you do the actual work?
Mm.
What are the processes? The beauty of creating this client handbook is that the client actually pays you to create this handbook. So you let them know when they come on board, hey, I'm going to be creating a handbook, going to be on your timesheet. You'll see this note. And you're actually documenting everything as you go. And it's all paid, billable, chargeable work to the client. Yes, we do provide that handbook to a client if they want to leave, but like they've paid for it all the way along. And the having the handbook and them knowing that there's a handbook is not going to be the reason that they leave. There's going to be another reason. This is just a bonus. And like, how good
Mm.
are they going to feel when you hand it over to them and they can then use it for whatever other solution that they've got to fill
Mhm.
that spot? Like, that's going to leave a really great feeling with that
Mhm.
client of like how amazing you were as a service provider.
So many benefits.
I don't see a downside.
No, there really isn't. There really isn't.
Mm.
I mean, there are potentially gonna be times as an agency owner where despite having, you might have a medium-sized team, you might have a large team. If something was to happen unexpectedly and one of those team members has to go on very sudden leave or something's happened, they've gotten sick, whatever the reason is, there hasn't been any time for you to prepare for someone else to take over their client load. And the rest of the team, they're at capacity, right? There's no buffer there. It's going to come to you. Someone's got to do the work. If there is no capacity elsewhere in the team to take on this other team member's client work, chances are until you can figure out a different solution, a longer term solution, it's going to be down on you. You are going to need that client handbook so you can step in seamlessly to take over so that the client then isn't disrupted in any way, shape, or form.
Yep. And anyone who is a freelancer wanting to become an agency owner, documenting in a client handbook all of your client work that you are doing is going to make that, when you get to capacity and then you're like, crap, I need to start hiring a team now. I'm going to bring in some team members. You don't actually have time because you're fully booked. You don't actually have time to hand over. And that's going to be a barrier for you not wanting to bring on a team.
Yeah.
But if you have the handbooks, so much easier. Here's all the information. Let's go through it. Everything is documented. The number of questions that person's going to have is so reduced because it's all there in the handbook.
Yeah. Client handbooks aren't a set and forget thing,
Oh,
though.
no.
They need to be kept up to date.
Yeah.
And as a leader of a team, one of your jobs is likely to be encouraging, reminding, chasing up team members to make sure those handbooks are up to date.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a non-negotiable. It's in the expectations that you've got that they must keep the handbook up to date. And it's a living, breathing, working document. It's never finished.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. If you have been on the fence about handbooks, hopefully we have changed your mind. Let's talk about cash flow. Let's talk about the finances. We've talked about mental resilience. I don't think we've talked about financial resilience.
If you are going to grow an agency, you need to have some buffer. You need to have that financial resilience to be able to deal with things if they do come up. So that issue that I had with we need to spend $500 to fix, get something fixed for a client. I can't just be running at the barely making ends meet and having no buffer to be able to deal with those things. I can't run an agency like that. You have to have really good cash flow, a really good system for how you're following up your debtors, or you've got everyone prepaying, paying in advance. All of those terms need to be really robust so that you are getting the money in, that you can pay your team members, and there is profit left over that you are building up a buffer with. This may mean sacrificing some of your income initially to build up that buffer. And it also means that you must have really good margin, talking about financial margin now, between what you're charging your clients and what you are paying your team members. You need to have premium rates as an agency owner. You can't get by having low rates anymore.
Full stop.
Yeah. Because I think if you don't have enough financial buffer and you don't have enough margin, you actually end up sacrificing on who you hire based on how much you pay them. You'll be only able to be paying or getting and onboarding low-level subcontractors, which is also going to come with other problems.
Yeah. You want to be building a team that are going to stick around. They want to stay. They're being rewarded financially themselves for the hard work that they're putting in. More likely to be loyal to you.
Yeah. What else is on our list of how to build resilience in your agency?
Well, we've got on here about the support, getting mentorship, the mastermind, offloading some of the stuff, whatever you can offload to somebody else, outsource it yourself. I feel like we covered that already earlier on in the episode. There's something on our list which how did it make you feel when we talked about this? We talked about like discussing it on this episode. Like, I feel like it was like a damn, that's powerful, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It was like
Okay.
a little bomb.
Like a bomb. A bomb had been dropped. So
Mhm.
get a pen and paper for this one because we want you to write it down. As an agency owner, you need to stop expecting your team to give you stability. That's not their job. That is your job.
Let that land.
Stop expecting your team members to give you stability. It's not their responsibility, guys. It's the other way round.
Yeah. This is why you need that emotional margin so that you are the one that's the safe, secure, stable leader in the agency. So I think there's this thing where agency owners like kind of get on their high horse a bit and they are like, oh, but I'm giving this opportunity to this like subcontractor, the team member. Well, they probably say staff member, which really grates me.
Ooh, yeah, that's bad.
It's like, oh, I'm giving this opportunity. They should be grateful that I am giving them a job and that I am giving them work and I am paying them. But actually, like, you should be grateful for them. They
Yeah.
are in your business, making you money, looking after your clients. Like, be grateful to them.
Holy
Stop
shit.
treating them like you're doing them a favor, like that you're the bigger person and you're the one who's, doing this for everyone else.
Yeah,
No.
stop expecting that they're just here to serve you.
Oof.
Stop using them as a stepping stone to your own financial success.
Oof. Serve you. That staff, that servant staff, that I think that's why that term grates me so much.
Yeah.
No, they're not your servants.
No. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, the type of agency owner that has unrealistic expectations that aren't in alignment with the hourly rate that they're paying. These are type of agency owners that are paying very low hourly rates.
Yeah.
It's a red flag.
Yeah.
It's a red flag. Just like you should be grateful and appreciate and care for every single client that you have in your space, you need to be feeling the same way about your team members as well. In order to stop a high turnover of clients, you look after them, right? You're investing in them in some way, shape, or form. The same goes for your team members. In order to stop a high turnover of your staff.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think just like stop thinking about it as like you're just paying them an hourly rate. Like it is an overall energy exchange. Like it's not just the money. It's they are investing their energy in your business and your clients. Like you need to invest that energy in them and have that as an equal exchange.
Yeah. It can't be lopsided at all. It can't be lopsided. It needs to be equal. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. You are going to get out of them what you put into them.
Yeah.
Like any relationship. You nurture it, you're both going to benefit for that.
Yeah. And you can't do that if you don't have any emotional margin.
Or financial buffer.
Yeah. Or resilience or like any of the things that we talked about.
Or systems and processes.
Yeah. Like that overall equal energy exchange. That has to be the case. Otherwise, someone's going to feel resentful. The relationship's not going to go well. Neither person is going to be happy.
That was a lot.
Yeah.
That was a
Should we
lot.
put everyone off?
Yeah. At times we talked about things that were quite heavy. They were quite heavy. But we want to remind you that if this is the pathway you're thinking about taking or have taken, but maybe you're doubting it, which is why you're listening to this, right? You're looking for some help. Please remember, if it is the right pathway for you, it is 100% worth it.
Yeah. Like, I am an example of someone who has like the ultimate freedom now from what I've built. And not saying that everyone wants to get to the position that I have gotten now, but the ability for your business to still run and still make money, bring in revenue, client work still being done, like that comes from having an agency, and for you to be able to step out and go and have holidays and do things that you want to do with money still coming in, that is an unmatched feeling of freedom. You know, I've got it to the point now where I could actually probably be away forever and it could still run. Like month after month, it could still run. The team could make all of the decisions. I don't have a role in there at all, other than being on the other end of the phone if like wants to run something past me. But even then, it's just like a checking of something.
Well, yeah.
The team member could still make the decision.
Yes, even the most successful freelancer amongst us, in demand, fully booked, fantastic niche, the pricing's right, the money's coming in, even the most successful freelancer will never have that level of freedom and flexibility that you just talked about.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones doing the client work.
Yeah. Yeah. I think something else too is that you actually get to choose what work it is that you do. You can shape your role. You could outsource the things that you completely drain you, and you could focus your role on the things that really light you up. Like you would have that kind of control, that kind of flexibility to be able to actually choose what it is that you want to do in your business and what you don't.
Sounds good, right?
And a big reminder that like this growth that we all want to feel, that like evolution of ourselves, you know, growing does not happen in your comfort zone. All of these issues that we talked about, like these are going to be outside your comfort zone. But that growth doesn't happen playing it safe, doing things that are comfortable. It actually happens when you step into that like leadership and doing something new and growing that agency. That is where the growth comes, and like that resilience that I now have and how different I am. Like it's actually embarrassing thinking about the person that I was, the leader and the business owner, the naive young woman that I was when I was 30 back when I started. Like I am so different now. And that growth could never have happened without me having to go through all of these things that have come up, dealing with the drunk team member and having to fire her, you know, like that really builds your resilience and your growth.
Yeah, this episode isn't about giving you tips and tricks and strategies to prevent any of these things we've talked about happening, because that's not going to happen. Like these aren't preventable things. These are things that are just going to happen naturally when you are managing a team. But it's around the tips and tricks to build your resilience so you come out of it, out the other side of dealing with these situations, a stronger business owner, a stronger leader, a stronger and more resilient human being.
Yeah. Okay. Where can someone go now, Sam? Like, remember, this is not something that you do on your own.
Besides going to the liquor cabinet and the dining room to pour themselves a stiff drink, because that was some heavy shit, Joe Jensen.
It was.
You've got options. If you haven't already, would urge you to download the pre-scale checklist that is on the website. That's a great first starting point, just to make sure you've got a lot of these things that we've talked about, especially the systems and processes, in place in order for you to at least be building a resilient business model.
Yep. And then the other place, if you found yourself as an agency owner, you're wanting to become an agency owner, you've got some clients, the place for you to come and get that support and be surrounded by those other women who are going through the same things that you're going through is the mastermind. So this is the Scale It Mastermind. We'll drop the link down in the description as well. You don't have to do it alone. We are there. We can help you through all of the problems, the new problems that you're dealing with as an agency owner. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Sam and Joe VA Show. If you'd like to find out more, head to the VA Foundry website to check out the mastermind and the amazing resources, courses, and coaching.
You can find us at thevafoundry.com.